Dear students, now we are going to focus auditing and assurance standards board, that is AASB in India. In India, AASB constituted by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. In India, auditing assurance standards are made in line with international standards issued by the International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board IAASB. From this discussion, we clear that IAASB means International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, which is working at international level. But in India, AASB, Auditing and Assurance Standard Board, is working to ensure the information provided in the financial statements are of high quality and acceptable worldwide. The Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, under the Council of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, have formulated 50 standards. All standards are interlinked with international auditing and assurance standards. The number given to standards on auditing, that is SAS, is similar the number system followed by the IAASB. So question may be asked in examination, what is the long form of AASB or AASB? The long form of AASB is Auditing Assurance Standards Board. AASB includes what? The members of Council of ICAI, eminent members in the profession and special invitees from SEBI, RBI, IRDA, IIT, Association of Industry. Here we seen that the membership of Auditing Assurance Standards Board includes elected members from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, professional and special invitees from SEBI. SEBI means Securities Exchange Board of India, Reserve Bank of India, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, that is IRDA, IITs, Institute of Technology, Indian Institute of Technology, and Association of Industry. Auditing standards refers to the code of practices, procedure which an auditor is expected to follow during an audit to ensure consistency of findings. Auditing standards are helpful to the auditor for discharging his duties properly by applying professional attitude. Auditing standards promote uniformity in practice as also comparability. In India, AASB of the ACAI formulates the auditing standards. In India, mostly Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, that is Council of Chartered Accountants of India, framed the board called as AASB, which is related with formulating of auditing standards. Procedures for issuing auditing standards. Our first unit is auditing concepts in relation to auditing standards. Firstly, we should know that what is the procedure for issuing auditing standards. This procedure I have put here in form of chart. In this chart, the procedure of issuing auditing standards is given. First, identification of the areas where auditing standards need to be formulated. AASB Auditing Assurance Standard Boards firstly identify the areas where auditing standard is essential. Then, preparation of preliminary draft by study groups. For the if the area is identified for studying that area, a separate study groups or group is formed for making primary draft. Exposure draft issued for comments of the members. Then exposure in detail draft is issued and that is submitted to the members. The membership includes elected chartered accountants, professional invitees like from SEBI, RBI, IRDA, IIT and industry association. Then preparation of final draft by AASB in the light of comments received. After receiving comments from the members, then final draft is to be prepared by AASB. AASB means Auditing Assurance Standards Board. Proposed auditing standard is finalized and submitted to the Council of Institute. The Council of Institute of Chartered Accountants. For that council, a finalized auditing standard is submitted. Then the council considers the final draft. If necessary, modifies the same in consultation with the board. The auditing standard is then issued under the authority of the council. It means that auditing standard issued under the authority of council. Council means Council of Certified Chartered Accountant of India. While formulating the auditing standards, the board also takes into consideration the applicable laws, customs, uses, and business environment of the country. By considering the applicable laws in India, customs, uses, and business environment, that auditing standard is to be finalized by the board. The purpose of auditing standard is to establish standards and provide guidelines on the objective and general principles governing an audit of financial statements. The mostly the audit is concerned with checking of financial records and financial statements. This is the procedure of issuing new auditing standard. Then now we are going to discuss CAG. So firstly know that the long form of CAG. The long form of CAG is Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Comptroller and Auditor General of India, who is the head of Supreme Audit Institute of India, that is SAI India. SAI India means Supreme Audit Institution of India. SAI means Supreme Audit Institution of India. Discharges his constitutional functions through the Indian Audit and Accounts Department. The CAGs, auditing standards, constitute the next layer of the audit governance framework and set out the professional standards of auditing for the organization as well as for its personnel, the individual auditors. These standards establish the norms which are applicable to all public sector audit engagement. It means that the norms decided by CAG are applicable to all public sector organizations. Accountability and transparency are two important elements of good governance. Now, presently, everyone is expecting good governance. So, what is good governance? Means following standard procedure for providing various types of services, and for that, two important elements are accountability and transparency. Standards issued by Auditing and Assurance Standard Boards AASB in India. Auditing Standards Board is working. That board is formed by Council of Chartered Accountants of India. So this board have issued certain standards. So these standards, which are very important in relation to conducting audit of any kind of organization. Firstly, see standards on quality control. These standards are applicable to all auditing firms. It means that these standards are framed by considering the auditing firms which perform audits and review of historical financial information, including assurance and related service engagements. Standards on auditing. Whenever an independent examination of financial information is carried on for any entity means in short organization, whether it is business motive or not, whether the size of entity is big or small, or even if the entity has any legal form, the standards on auditing are applicable. These standards of auditing applicable for carrying audit of any kind of entity irrespective of size and orientation. Standards on review engagements. These standards are applicable for reviewing historical financial information. It means that standards issued by AASP are three types. Number one, standards of quality control. Number two, standards on auditing. Number three, standards on review engagement. Then another two, standards on assurance engagements and standards on related services. Standards on assurance engagements. These are the standards useful for assurance engagement other than the audits and reviews of financial information. And lastly, standards on related services. These standards are applicable for all engagements about the application of agreed procedures to information, compliance, compilation, engagements, and other related services engagements. It means that auditing assurance standards are made by focusing five, criteria. Auditing standards are particularly important in cases where there is a matter of material importance and its interpretation is of technical nature. Hence, auditing standards are important for the matter as related to material importance and interpretation of is of a technical nature. For your information, I am focusing here two things as related to major standards on auditing. Major standards on auditing are developed by Auditing Assurance Standards Board in India. In short, we may call it AASB. Here I am focusing two things. One is number of standard and another is the title of standard. Yes, standards on quality control, that is SQC1. The title of standard is Quality Control for Firms that perform audit and reviews of historical financial information and other assurance and related service engagement. This is SQC1. It is applicable to the firms which are engaged in audit work. Later on, standards on auditing. This is very important. There are various standards and these standards are numbered and title of that standard is provided here. See, SA 200 means what? Auditing standard 200, that is number. Auditing standard 200. It is related with overall objectives of the independent auditor and conduct of auditing accordance with the standards on auditing. This standard relates to independent auditor and conduct of auditing. SA 2010 agreeing the terms of audit engagements. SA means auditing standard number 210 titled as agreeing the terms of audit engagements. SA 220, that is auditing standard 220 quality control for audit of financial statements. This is the title. These are standards I am giving for your kind information. There is no need to relate with that standard in detail. Only we are focusing only two things, that is number of auditing standard and the title of that standard. SA 230, it means auditing standard 230, that is number. Title is audit documentation. SA 240, the auditor's responsibilities relating to fraud in an audit of financial statements. SA 250, consideration of laws and regulations in an audit of financial statements. SA 260, auditing standard 260, communication with those charged with governance. SA 265, auditing standard 265, that relates to communicating deficiencies in internal control to those charged with governance and management. Essay 299 Joint Audit of Financial Statements. Essay 315 Identifying and Assessing the Risk of Material Management through Understanding the Entity and its Environment. Essay 320 Materiality in Planning and Performing an Audit. So here see that we are only discussing two things, that is auditing standard, its number and its title. Essay 330 Auditing Standard 330 relates to the auditor's responses to assessed risks. Essay 402 Audit Considerations relating to an entity using a service organization. Essay 405 Evaluation of misstatements identified during the audit. Essay 500 Auditing Standard 500. This is related with audit evidence. In next lectures, we are focusing the concept of audit evidence in relation to auditing standards. Essay 501 Audit evidence specific consideration for selected items. Essay 505 External confirmations. Essay 510 Initial audit engagements, opening balances. Essay 520 Analytical procedure. This will be discussed later on in detail as related with auditing standards. Essay 530 Audit sampling. What criteria is to be applied for selection of sample for checking of transaction? By considering the nature of transactions, the transaction having similar nature, from that transactions, few transactions selected as sample and that are checked in detail, that is termed audit sampling. That concept will be also discussed later on in detail. Essay 540 Auditing Accounting Estimates including fair value accounting estimates and related disclosure. Essay 550 Related parties. That will be discussed later on. Related parties. Essay 560 Subsequent evidence. Essay 570 Going concerns. This is accounting concept and how this is applicable in auditing, that will be discussed later on. Essay 580 Written representation. Essay 600 Using the work of another auditor. Essay 610 Using the work of internal auditors. Essay 620 Using the work of an auditor's experts. Essay 700 Forming the opinion and reporting on financial statements. Essay 701 Communicating key audit matters in the independent auditor's report. Auditing Standard 701 relates to communicating key audit matters in independent auditor's report. Essay 705 Modifications to the opinion in the independent auditor's report, SA 706 emphasize of matter paragraphs and other matter paragraphs in the independent auditor's report. SA 710 comparative information, corresponding figures and comparative financial statements. In this standard, we are focusing what is the relevance of comparative information. SA 720, the auditor's responsibilities in relation to other information in documents containing audited financial statements. SA 800, Auditing Standard 800, Special Consideration. Special considerations, audits of financial statements prepared in accordance with the special purpose frameworks. SA 805, Special Consideration, audit of single financial statements and specific elements, accounts or items of a financial statement. SA 810, it means auditing standard. Number of that standard is 810, which is focusing engagements to report on summary financial statements. These are accounting, these are auditing standards. In short, it is termed as SA. SA means auditing standard. And these auditing standards are very important. That should be noted by the auditor. That should be considered by the auditor while conducting audit of any entity in India. So, by considering these auditing standards, we may explain certain auditing concepts in coming lectures. Then, standards on review engagements SRES. SRE 2400 relates to engagements to review historical financial statements. SRE 2410 review of interim financial information performed by the independent auditor of the entity. Standards on assurance engagements SAES. SAE 3400, the examination of prospective financial information. SAE 3402, assurance report or controls as service organization. SAE 3420, assurance engagement to report on the compilation of pro forma financial information included in a prospectus. Last part is standards on related services, that is SRES. SRES 4400, engagements to perform agreed upon procedures regarding financial information. SRES 4410, compilation engagements. So, in the present lecture, we focused on auditing standards, and by considering these auditing standards, we explain auditing concepts. Therefore, in coming lectures, I would like to focus most important area of our syllabus, that is auditing concepts as related to auditing standards in India. So in this lecture we mainly focus on only auditing standards, in short SA, and these are numbered as 200, 500, 550 like this. So this is very technical area of information which is useful for conducting audit. Though the language of my explanation is difficult at early stage because this is a technical concept. So later on I would like to simplify that matter in lucid language so that will be understood everyone. But presently these two lectures are totally technical lectures having terminology which is related with auditing. Though we have discussed here auditing standards, and these standards doesn't matter, that should be keep in mind or memorize, because only for your kind information I have given commentary that is running things without explanation. I provided certain numbers of standards and the title of that standards. Doesn't matter about the technical aspect, but consider what is meant by auditing standard, how they are numbered, what is their title, and how these standards related with the auditing concepts. So, in the present lecture, we discussed relevant auditing standards, and in next lecture, I will cover auditing concepts as related to auditing standards. Thank you.